My name's Eli Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. Welcome back to another episode of Meet Cool People. Today's guest, I am so happy to have her come and hang out with me. She is a ray of sunshine every time I get to talk to her. Today we have Sara Schroeder, and she loves to bring a daily dose of sunshine and positivity to people's day, which I can tell you if you follow her on Facebook, you will see that very, very quickly. She's actually helping business owners and CEOs get clear on what they want, what they mean, or what that actually means and why they want it so they can get the results that they want and maintain a positive mental attitude. And when she's not coaching, she loves to work out, read, and jam out to 80s pop, which does not surprise me one single bit. Sara, thanks for coming and hanging out today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So this is a lot of fun. We have a blast with these things. You and I met recently at a SCN event, and then we've ran into each other several times since then, and we've gotten to know each other very well. And one thing I do have to say, the ray of sunshine, I will say, I describe you as like walking into a room and seeing a puppy dog, because you were always happy, you were always friendly, and always make the room a better place. So it has been fun getting to know you.
Well, likewise. I love talking to you and chatting with you, and I'm glad that we've been able to see each other at so many different events. So, and thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. So you are a business lifestyle coach. You've been doing a lot of stuff helping people out. How did you get started in that arena?
Yeah, I got started in it. So I've been in it for 16-ish years. Got started in it when I was a professor at UNT, taught college writing 1 and 2, and just really fell in love with teaching that and whatnot. But the students came and talked to me a lot about mindset stuff because I was really young when I started, and just helping them navigate their situations, their college life, not just necessarily, their classes, but other things going on. And while I was teaching, an opportunity came up to start a group fitness franchise with Camp Gladiator. So I went and got my personal training certification and did that. So in the morning, I was teaching group fitness. During the day, I was teaching, and then at night, more personal training. And again, it all boiled down to mindset and attitude. And just from that, I really fell in love with the personal development and started hiring my own coaches, right, to go through my own limiting beliefs, my own triggers, and just really figuring out what I wanted. And in 2019, one of my mentors asked me, what do you want? Right? That question. And I said, I would love to really just focus on the business and life aspect of it and get into executive coaching. And he said to me, why aren't you doing that? And I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an excuse. I didn't have anything. So I went out and got my LLC and then started my life coaching business. And I was certified through that as well. And then just transitioned, sold my fitness franchise, and have been in the life and business coaching business for 5 years now.
Very cool. And so when clients come to you, first off, what are some of the types of clients that are actually coming to you? Let's kind of narrow it down to who do you work with?
Well, that's an interesting question because it kind of runs the gamut. I've had several lawyers approach me lately. I've had several people who are executives, have owned businesses for at least 5 years, and have found themselves in some kind of transition, or what they were doing isn't working anymore. I've been working with a lot of financial advisors and financial planners. I've been looking with other executives in landscape is one of my clients. I'm working with people in, HR, working with people with other estate planners and like the exit planning field, if you will. So people, that's a lot of who I've been working with lately.
Okay, awesome. And when they come to you, what's their stuck? What is that thing? Because when you're coming to hire a coach, you're stuck somewhere. Mm-hmm. There's something that's not playing nice. And of course, every coach is going to be different. And so I would love to hear when people, where's the majority of the people, what's that thing that's usually keeping them stuck right now?
They are not holding themselves accountable. They don't trust themselves. There's some kind of void. I've had a couple people come up to me and just say, I keep playing catch up and I'm not taking any kind of purposeful action. I'm just busy. I need help. I've had a couple others who are like, I've got so much personal head trash and it's not only affecting my work, it's affecting my personal life. I need help with that. So basically, I'm not holding myself accountable. I'm not trusting myself. I'm not committed to anything. So therefore, I'm not doing anything that's moving the needle forward to give me more of what I want. And I don't know what I want. It also boils down to that. They're like, I've got this. And I ask them one thing and they're like, I have no idea.
Right. Okay. So that leads us down a rabbit hole. I want to go deeper into accountability because that is one of the things as entrepreneurs, we have to be accountable for ourselves. Like we are the boss. So there's nobody's going to tell us what to do and how to do it and all that kind of stuff. We got to figure it out on our own. And I know a lot of people jump into entrepreneurship and they get stuck because they're not used to having that responsibility. And, then they're like, okay, well, this has been great. And they're like, being an entrepreneur is going to be awesome. People come to me and they're like, being an entrepreneur must be awesome for you. You get to pick whatever hours a day you want to work. I'm like, yep, I got to pick whichever 12 hours I want,
Yep.
And so when somebody comes to you and they're suffering from that accountability standpoint and they're just not seeing results and they realize it's because I'm not keeping up with where I should be doing, what is one of the first things that you can do to kind of help people get over that roadblock?
I ask them, what do you think about in the morning when you wake up? And most of the time, it's some kind of stress. It's some kind of worry. It's some kind of anxiety. It's some kind of, I have to do this, I need this, or else. Well, that doesn't motivate you to do anything. In fact, it's actually inspiring you to not take action because you're so worried. And then that's what builds on itself, right? What you think about is what happens. So we kind of start in the morning. And I'm not here to tell you do this one specific thing in the morning. I'm asking you what would make you excited to get out of bed in the morning. And I truly mean that, being enthusiastic, right? And it takes them a minute to think about, like, what would drive me to wake up? So we go from that. And then I ask them about their calendar. And I say, how do you create your schedule? Like as an entrepreneur, you've got to do all of these things. What do you focus on? And they start going in their calendar and whatnot. And oh my gosh. And then I end up having to put out fires, or I double book myself, or I do this. And so I say, ask them, where and when do you schedule personal time? Errands, gym, being with family, being with friends, whatever it might be. When do you schedule that? Well, I don't. So then the second thing becomes, okay, for next week, schedule your personal time first. You want to be off at 1 p.m. on Friday? Put that in your calendar. It's blocked. For me, my block is, I think an orange color. Like, I am blocked, meaning personal time in this. I have them do that first. And it baffles them. They're like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand this. I was like, do that first. And now you have to be responsible for where you're fitting everything else. And that all works every single time when they schedule their personal time first.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's brilliant that you have people doing that for a very simple reason. Above and beyond the schedule personal time first, but getting that personal time in there, because one of those procrastination bugs that ends up getting hit by a lot of people that especially are starting out is they're like, oh, I need to go write a post, or I need to go record a video or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, I'll do it right after I go finish the laundry real quick. Or like on the fly, somebody calls them up and says, hey, you want to go have lunch? Oh, okay, sure. And next thing you know, the work isn't getting done because they're doing all these other distracting things. And they're things that may or may not need to actually be done. I mean, obviously laundry needs to be done, lunch needs to be cooked, all the different things like that. But there's a difference between using that as an excuse to not get your actual work done, which will move you closer to the goal. And so I love the way that you're doing that by saying, okay, you need to put these things on the calendar. And, for me, that's one of the biggest things that I have done is I go through and I block off, here's my work time. Here's a buffer time, which that's where I like respond to emails and things like that. And then I will have time. It's like, okay, from here to here, I might go to a coffee shop just to write. That's the whole thing, is to just do that one thing. Or sometimes when I need to schedule one thing I haven't done in a long time, I pulled it off the calendar and I need to get it back in, is time for my archery. Cause that's like my Zen time. That's my relaxation time. And I don't know if we probably didn't talk about that before.
We haven't talked about that yet.
So archery is my hobby, and I got into it 9+ years ago, and got totally sucked in. It's all traditional, no wheels. It's like all just shooting targets, and it's fun. It's relaxing. It's my form of meditation, honestly. And and I ended up getting sucked in and like doing tournaments and everything for several years too, which was a lot of fun.
Cool. I want to go to a tournament. That would be awesome to watch that.
I'll be honest with you. Watching an archery tournament is kind of like watching paint dry. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. You might have fun anyway. I mean, I had fun with it, but it is really kind of a slow, boring process sometimes.
I mean, but people can say that about golf too sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Kind of boring, but
I don't very much. Yeah, it's very much the same thing. And then you really get fun. One of the things that I've actually would love to be able to find a place to do around here is archery golf.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're basically shooting as far as you can. And like your hole is basically like, 700 to 900 yards away. And you just shoot as far as you can. Cause like for me, my bow will shoot 190 yards max. And then you go, hope to God you can find your arrow, and then you find it, and then you go to the next spot.
It's like frisbee golf, but archery golf.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun. It's a pretty cool sport. But that's one of the things, I mean, going back into, we have to schedule those things. And I love that you're having people do that, because so many people skip that spot. They're like, and they'll do just the business stuff, but they forget to schedule the personal stuff. And the great thing is, if you do that, like if you need to do, say for instance, you do meal prep, you need to schedule the meal prep time. But once you do that, you're not trying to fit it in during the stuff when you should really actually be getting the real work done.
Yeah.
And so I love the way you're doing that.
Well, you bring up two really interesting points. Number one, I love what you said about and then I'll schedule time to go to the coffee shop and just write. Because you're just focusing on one thing. You are going to the coffee shop specifically to write. That's another big thing. We try and do way too many things at once. You have a to-do list that's 800 things. You are never going to get those things done. And actually, a book, Essentialism is the book. He goes into priority means one. We've created it to mean, our top 3 priorities or our top 5 priorities. Priority is one. So what is the priority in this block? Or what is the priority for this day? What is the priority for this coffee shop? I love this coffee shop to write. Awesome. But this other one, I love to go meet my clients at, right? So I have that. Like there's my writing coffee shop and there's my client coffee shops, plural, because of the ambiance and everything, but focusing on one thing. We have so many areas of focus, and that's why people are confused, have no idea what they want, and aren't holding themselves accountable because there's quote unquote too many things to do. So you've got to make a decision. Here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm doing this. Another point that you made, and now I was going to go on a tangent on that, but it's like, oh wait, now I'm on this. But you were talking about meal prep and whatnot, but things get to be easy if you make it easy. You're only making it hard if it's up here. And so it's like, I don't have time to do this. Yes, you do. What are you choosing? Right. And so we go into that challenge of what are you choosing to do? Are you choosing to be distracted? Or are you choosing to do the thing that's going to move the needle forward? Because you can have both, have your cake and eat it too, but you can't do it at the same time, because then nothing's going to happen and you're not going to get the results.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up something too about that, about trying to do too many things. One of the things I've done for years is blocking stuff together.
Mm.
Because when you start looking at that and you take the time to put your calendar together and, okay, here's the things that I need to get done, you start realizing, okay, instead of trying to do this, and this, which are totally different things, what if I have 3 different projects, but I'm doing the same thing for all 3 projects at
Yeah.
the same time? Because then you're in the same modality. Like for me, again, I'll go back to writing because I love to write. Is if I'm going to write, say, for instance, we were talking about writing for a chapter for a book. We were both at the author symposium this last Friday.
Mhm.
And it's like, if you're going to write for a book, that's great. Well, if you're taking that time, you're going to the coffee shop and your whole goal is to write, nothing says you can't write some of your book and write a couple of Facebook posts. Or like
Good
for
point.
me, I have clients who pay me to help write copy for their emails. And so I will go through and it's like, if it's writing, I might block off 4 hours, but it might be for 5 different projects, but it's
Mhm.
all writing because my mind is in the same mindset at that standpoint. And
Oh, I love
that
that.
really helps too.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And you know what? To your point, yesterday I was writing content for the week, and it just like flew into this whole thing that absolutely relates to the book that I'm writing. Which shout out Cheryl Powers for the Writers Block Symposium. It was amazing. But yeah, what a great thing to do, because when you're writing, it's not just I have to only work on this. It's I'm working on my book right now, then I can transition this idea into content material and or email marketing material, and then I can do this. But once you're in a zone, that's what it was. When you're in your zone of genius or zone of power, you've got to just let everything out there, and you can go back and revise and edit afterwards. But what is your best time to be at that coffee shop to write and be creative and have your inspiration? What is your best time to meet with clients? What is your best time to get the admin work done? Like, if you already don't like Mondays and you hate admin work, why are you doing admin work on Mondays? Like, already that's two negatives, right? Negative does not equal a positive. I'm not mathing it, like that does not work with your brain, right? So you've got to do it. Yes, there are necessary evils, if you will, but make it enjoyable by making it in a spot where, okay, I'm going to do this, and this is just what it is. I'm making this decision to do this here because I'll be better down the road when I do it now, as opposed to procrastinating, right? It goes down. I mean, yeah, it can do so many things when you're in your zone of genius. And that's another thing
Mhm.
too, going back to what you want and the emotional commitment behind it. I just talked to somebody this morning, um, and he was like, "Oh, that's really interesting. Like, what do you mean by emotionally committed? Because I'm
Mhm.
interested in something, but I didn't make me want to wake up and go do it."
Right.
Okay. Like, where's that? Then you're not emotionally committed to it. It was interesting, but you didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a really good point of that, of figuring out when is your best time to do different things. Like for me, writing actually should be a first thing in the morning thing because that's where my brain is the clearest.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this. I know a lot of people have heard me talk about this. My general rule is I don't speak to human beings before 10 a.m. unless they're my barista. And that's the whole goal behind it, is to give me that clarity and that time before my head gets mucked up with other stuff, the fires, the responses, all the different things. Let me
Mhm.
use that time to just get this thing done, that my most creative time done. And then the rest of the day, I can deal with fires. I can respond to emails. I can do little nuggets of stuff. Like maybe I met somebody at an event and I want to just respond back to them. These little things that take me like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Um, as opposed to, oh, wait a minute, I've had all these 15 different things. Now my brain is frazzled and I need to try to write this before the end of the day. And all of a sudden it ain't going to happen. And if it does happen, it's probably not going to be very good.
Yeah, that's so good. And you bring up, that's really funny. I'm the complete opposite. It's like I'm at my 6 a.m. workout and I'm like, hello, good morning, everybody. And people are like, whoa, it's 6 a.m. This is a lot. That's just me though, right? Like that's when I work really well. But you make a really interesting point too about, okay, now like I've got to prep myself for the day. So then when I'm ready for the fires, Yeah, that's why morning stuff is so important. If 10 a.m. is like your morning time, what do you need to do on that tail end to get yourself ready for the fires and the circumstances? If you're a morning person like me, like when do you need to wake up so you can still prep and get yourself ready? Because even though I am one of those people that gets really excited to wake up, I'm excited to wake up in the morning and enthusiastic. I still have to put myself in that zone, right? I still have, like my prayer and meditation time. And then I write, in the morning and get ready. So now I can go out and talk to people and be who I want to be, right? And act and do the things that are going to create positive impact. It is something that you can learn, but again, it's a daily thing that you keep working on and hold yourself accountable. And that's what I love doing and showing people and helping them figure out, like, you can become whatever you believe about yourself, right? But you've got to work on that all the time and just helping them navigate that. And then they get really excited about things and things change. But you make a point that you get yourself ready for the fires. And a lot of times those fires are just things that aren't necessarily fires. Like they're little flames that you can just step on it and put it out, or that's not as massive as you think that it is. But we make these things so massive because it's a distraction. Because now we don't have to take purposeful action on what's going to move the needle. We can go help all these other people. And look at us, look how awesome we are. We're helping all these other people, being people pleasers, ignoring what we need to do, further creating more worry, more stress, more anxiety, because we're not doing what we need, because we're putting out these fires that need to be put out. If you got a text message right now, let's say, unless it was something like super duper important, like you and I are talking, maybe you've gotten however many text messages. Those aren't fine. And maybe it's somebody like, oh man, I need to get back to him because that is something. Unless it's a dire situation, unless it's dire, it's not fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But we keep making these things emergencies for no reason, like these text messages
Right.
or the door or the laundry or whatever else. Oh, I've got to answer this email. Says who?
Right. And you bring up a couple of different points. We got a couple of tangents we're going to go down on this. I want to talk about let's talk about hero syndrome first, because we end up doing that. It's like, okay, this person has an emergency and this person has an emergency and this person has an emergency. I got to help them all. And next thing you know, we're the ones that are stuck and aren't getting anywhere. And we're the ones that actually need the help by the end of the day. What's one of the things you can suggest for people to kind of stop and go, wait a minute, this isn't my circus. This ain't my monkeys. And how do we deal with that better if most of us, I think if you stop and think about it, you realize that you're that person. You're the one that actually ends up has to jump in and help everybody all the time. So what are some of the things that we need to be aware of with that? And how are some of the things we can possibly help, manage that better, I guess is the best way to ask.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Managing, because you can't necessarily eliminate things, but managing and whatnot. Well, you bring up the first point. You've said it a couple times, awareness. When you get that text message or that email or something comes up, first pause and literally take a deep breath, maybe a couple deep breaths. And then your awareness level, like, yes, this is something that you do have to work on, but it's okay. What is this? Who's asking me about this? What's the level of importance in terms of results and things that need to be done? Can this be addressed later? What assumptions am I making if I don't answer it right away? Or if I do answer it? Is this something that that can be looked at with more benefit later? Are you putting 50% into something that needs at least 75% from you? That's a great question that I love to ask people. How much energy and time are you putting into this from a chaos perspective rather than taking that deep breath, answering later from a 100% clear perspective. So all of that to say, what is it? The TLDR, TLDR, pause, take a breath, and be aware.
Mm-hmm. I love it. That is awesome. So I want to shift back a little bit when we talk about this stuff. Like, we have those emergencies. Like you brought up the thing is like, okay, how many text messages have you gotten while we've been on this call? For me, my phone stays off. Like it stays off all the time. I've got the exceptions on a certain couple of people that if they actually call me, it will ring through, and that's just family, honestly. But I think that's something that we need to also look at. Going back to the batching, like I was talking about with creativity, batching when you respond as well. And, for me personally, one of the things I had to learn was for years, for the longest time, Facebook Messenger was always on for me because I was having a ton of conversations with a lot of people. And a lot of it was great. It's like, these are, possible clients that I've having a lot of these conversations with. But then I realized I started getting to the point where I was so distracted with all this stuff, I wasn't actually getting anything done because we do switch tasking, which is, switch tasking is like bouncing back and forth. I'm like, I'm starting to write and I read this message and I'm starting to do this and I'm reading this message and I wasn't getting anything done. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I can't do that. So I got to a point where my phone is off, my email is off, Messenger is off. And I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on this one thing. It's on the calendar from this time to this time and everything else is shut down. And I realized the world did not burn down in that time frame.
What?
Yeah. Now I had a couple clients who thought it was, but that's their problem.
Yeah. Right. If that's their perspective and you can't control that. So yeah.
So I think it's great that we have to, stop and think about those kind of things and how can we eliminate the distractions to get back into, okay, here's our focus. Here's the one thing you were talking about, your priorities. What's that priority that has to be done? Like today, my priority I got two things that need to be done. First and foremost, I want to do a workshop. I need to get that workshop put together. I got the copy written. I got to write the emails, which will take me half an hour maybe, and get the thing up and running so I can start promoting it.
Love it.
I've been procrastinating that. And I was like, no, that's silly. Why? I mean, I've done literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of workshops over the last 30 years. For some reason, my brain just like, oh, well, we'll go do this now. We'll go do that now. And it's like, no, we're going to stop. And those are the schedules. Then, of course, the second thing is get another episode of Me Cool People all to my guys so they can do all the editing, which that's an easy part.
That's easy. Well, you just held yourself account. Like you're telling me what you need to do, that workshop. So guess what you're doing?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Like that. Now I'm going to hold you account. I'm definitely going to text you later, say, hey, how's it going? You did it. So you're so welcome for that. Amazing. But no, it's really good. I will say, so I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and social media. But I had to, and I have, like, there are no notifications on my phone whatsoever. I have no idea when I get any messages, when I get this, when I get that. Like, it is off. Right. And I'm now, I had to be fair, like, I went through the whole, let's do switch mode all the time. Let me go here to here to here to here. In the morning on LinkedIn, I'm doing very specific things. I'm engaging and I'm commenting. And then later on for a block of half an hour, I think it is, then I'm in the DMs, right? I mean, there are very different things. And it's the same thing with Instagram and Facebook, because also I might get lost in, like, I read one thing and that makes me think about like different, then I get lost in this other coaches, what they're talking about.
Go down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole. And then it just becomes this whole, then certain things pop up. Like there's rabbit holes, there's imposter syndrome, there's all the distractions because I just didn't discipline myself, right? That people hate that word. That's such a good word. Like you just have to discipline. Right. It's not saying don't be on it. It's saying be on it at these times. Like I hate the word balance too. I hate the word balance, but like do this then. Like just organize things in such a way that you are creating like a positive life for yourself in everything that you do. And putting out fires is not your identity. It can be part of what you do, but you've got to be, again, all goes back to, what do you want? What do you mean by that? And why is it important to you and for others? Well, the only
Mhm.
way for you to be important for others is by really honing in on what you do best, your strengths, like your writing, all of your workshops, those kinds of things. When you focus on that and you hold yourself accountable to that, now you're building confidence. Now you're building trust. Now more people want to work with you because you've created that accountability for yourself. You've created that space. You've added in personal space. You've done all this stuff. And now, of course, there's always going to be some valley that you go through, but now you're aware, you know how to handle it better. And that inner critic or that worry or that doubt isn't coming in to distract you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely. I love that. And the great thing about, like, we can talk about social media for just a minute here. You said you turned off all notifications and everything on your phone. For me, one of the things that I found is way more useful is like, okay, how can I get, like, I've got little nuggets of time where I have 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, little nuggets. And I'm like, that's where I should be doing that. It's like, there's not enough time for me to dig into something important. Like, I'm not going to write an article in 3 minutes. I've done it before. I don't recommend trying to do it. It's very, very stressful. But when you get to that point, it's like, okay, like, great example. A lot of times I'm shooting, like, I'll shoot birthday messages for people. I'll shoot those from the car in the drive-through of Dutch Brothers, getting my morning mocha. Well,
Okay.
I can't really do anything else. So instead of scrolling social media and reading a bunch of silly garbage that is completely useless, I'm making a good point of that time. I'm actually using that. So you can find little nuggets of space to fill some of that stuff that's not as important and not as time consuming, which then also frees you up from wasting good quality time doing
Yeah.
those things.
Love it. You just nailed it. How am I using my time, energy, and resources? Like, I have 5 minutes in Dutch Bros. Happy birthdays, happy birthdays. Because that means things to people, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Or you're just doing, yeah, little tiny things. And now you're using your energy effectively. You're getting ready for more energy with your coffee. But like, you just have those little blocks and you're not distracting yourself. I love that. That's fantastic.
That is awesome. All right. This has been an awesome chat. I love it. It's great stuff. By the way, like, probably about 5 minutes ago, she just gave like an awesome worksheet of exactly what you should be doing to break down what's important, what's not, what are the fires, all that kind of stuff. So go back and listen to this again. Okay. So let's go ahead and start, landing the plane here. I got 2 final questions for you. Last question is going to be an easy one. So how do the people get a hold of you? So we'll ask that in a second. But this is the Meet Cool People show. So I always like to ask guests, what does meet cool people mean to you?
My entire life is based around relationships. I love people. I love connecting. I love getting to know them. So meeting cool people means meeting cool people and getting to know them, getting to know about your archery, like getting to know what they're passionate about, like what, like fuels their fire, things that are like seemingly weird, but that are like amazing, right? Like 80s pop. Who likes 80s pop to work out? Me, this girl. I love it. Or just like sunshiny playlist music. Like, you're not going to see me doing deadlifts to like heavy metal stuff. I've got like Dancing Queen in the background. True story. And that's fine. Nobody's going to do that, right? I do that. But so meeting cool people is just about meeting cool people and building relationships. And just because those relationships turn into so many different opportunities, and that's how you create a positive impact. And that's what I'm here for.
That is awesome. I do love it. So, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you? And that, before you answer that, I'm going to say you've got to make sure that people connect with you on LinkedIn, because your Friday morning roundup is so awesome. Okay, so talk about that for a second. And what are the other ways people can get a hold of you?
Yes, LinkedIn is probably the best option, and that's Sara Schroeder, Sara, no H, Schroeder, like the Peanuts character. I'm also on Facebook, Sara Schroeder Business Coach, and my website is sarahschroederbusinesscoach.com. But on LinkedIn, yes, definitely follow me, because every Friday I go live because it's Winning Friday. Everybody gets to celebrate a win, a professional or personal win. And that helps you boost morale, build confidence, inspires you to take more action. And like on the days where you're not having a good day, you can go back and be like, oh my gosh, look what I did. If I did it then, I can do it now. So definitely join me on that. And it's always, I have a lot of fun. You can tell when you watch the videos, I get a little excited about it. So yeah.
Just a little bit, just a little,
just a tiny bit. I don't know if you notice, I get excited about a lot of things.
Yes, you do. But we have a lot of fun with it. It's my pleasure to have gotten to know you. It's been so much fun. We've only known each other for a couple months now, and you've quickly become one of my best friends. I love you to death, and I'm so happy that we've gotten to get to know each other. And I am so happy that you came and joined us today.
Likewise, completely. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Awesome. All right, everybody, get out there. Have an amazing week. As always, if there's anything I can do to help you out, reach out and let me know. Take care. And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. Now, if you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rock star.